My oldest son, there's children. He has children I've never even met because of what my ex-wife has done and what she has told them. It's really hard.
Welcome back to another episode of Daddy Issues. Our guest today is going to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about his story.
Good morning. Everybody calls me Hippie that knows who I am. Let's see. I want to start back into the 90s when I had gotten joint custody of my son, then went into full custody a year and 4 days later. That was the plus side of things, and he started living with me. But the downside of it was at that time there was laws that were being put into place by and it was called the Deadbeat Dad program, I believe.
Was that really the name?
Yeah, yes, you can look it up. It was signed by Bill Clinton, in 1998. In fact, after I got full custody and I was trying to get assistance from my state, I'm a dad, I'm a single dad, I want to raise my son. Now help me. I've paid back all my child support that I owed from when I didn't have, my son at the time. And, now it's my turn. And they wouldn't put much effort into finding the mother. And at one point, I said, she's in this building, three buildings over for the next 3 weeks for something that court had ordered. And I said, just serve her the paperwork so you
Yeah.
can get the ball rolling and help me. And from there, they said, well, we can't serve her paperwork in that building because it's another government building. I said, well, I'll give her the paperwork. Well, if you do that, we'll drop your case. I'm like, so I'm getting frustrated with like, I'm, you guys can't find her. She's right there for the next 3 weeks. Help me. And, he says, no, it doesn't work that way. And I said, okay, so why is it that, you're working with the mothers and stuff like that and giving them everything with, immediately, I was automatically guilty of just, apparently somebody signed for it. I'm a deadbeat dad. And I'll tell you why I know I was or why I am.
Hey guys, real quick, if you can jump over to patreon.com/daddy issues of the truth, help support what we're doing, help support the channel, just so we can get as many dads as we can on the podcast and share their stories, and hopefully it's helping you guys out. That would be huge, man. And I definitely need your support, could use your support, and I hope that what we're doing is helpful to you. So if you guys could help out, patreon.com/daddy issues the truth, and greatly appreciated, man. Thank you guys. All right, back to the episode.
So I'm asking this person that is working on my case, why is it that you are fighting me on this? Why can't you give me the help like you do the mothers? And he told me, well, I'd rather work with the deadbeat dads. And I blew up. I wound up hanging up and I called back and asked for a manager. And, he called me, I'd rather work with the deadbeat dad, and it just blew my mind. Fast forward now, I've got two sons and I don't have any contact with either one of them. I've had a situation to where after a divorce, I'm jumping forward to 2016. I was paying child support on my youngest son. My ex-wife went to the state and said I wasn't paying child support. My bad for trusting. The court believed her instantly, put me negative $35,000 in the hole.
I was gonna ask, did they backdate that? Damn.
Yes. So negative 35 ruined my credit. And at that time, the messed up part is, here it is. I'm helping a company in Chicago. It was a ductwork cleaning company. I'm helping this company build up and I'm making good money. And I'm actually at that time rebuilding my credit. I was literally $2,000 away from being zero debt with no credit cards or anything. And my ex goes in and lies. And the state, I didn't even have a court date. I was just found
Oh
guilty
wow.
and it was negative 35 grand in the hole. I hired an attorney to help me with it because now the state's attorneys are coming after me for contempt. So what I did was, instead of getting an attorney within that district, within that area, because they all know each other, I brought somebody probably from over 100 miles away,
Mm.
thinking that they're not going to go along with the court system. And I told them what the challenge was, because this was a second attorney that I had. My first attorney fired me because I asked for results. We can talk about
Right.
that later. But yeah, I mean, it's just been a mess this whole time. So the second attorney didn't do anything. I had asked, to help me. I wound up getting a job. Didn't get into contempt of court, but I've had to reinstate my license 4 times now at $2,000 a pop. And a few of those times have happened because not being able, I wasn't communicating myself properly in between jobs. So all of a sudden there was a delinquency, and they instantly
Hmm.
just, suspend the license. And um, so I keep searching for, legal reps to help me out, and I can't find anybody that will actually challenge the system. And then all of a sudden, the day after Thanksgiving, I'm sitting there looking at my phone on social media, and this gentleman popped up with this video, and his name is Mark Ludwig. He gave me permission to throw out his name. He's out of St. Louis, Missouri, and he is working to change legislation in all 50 states. He's done so far 7 states. So he's looking for equality of parenting's rights is what he's working on. Once again, his name is Mark Ludwig. What he is doing is he's going across state to state, and he is just he's getting in everybody's face with this issue, because he himself had to fight, which he didn't come out and say, but I can see he's got images of his son on his page and everything. And, I can see why he's fighting, because, he
Hmm.
had to go through that fight himself. Um, since then, I've reached out to an Illinois state rep here in Chicago, Jed Davis. He too is working on similar things and stuff, trying to change legislation. Um, and I'm working with him, I'm trying to get a map, from A to Z, and how I can fix this myself, because what I see with the legal system is it's corrupt.
It's so corrupt. It's a long and tiring process. It takes years and maybe sometimes with no results.
Yeah, and it's been years since I've seen my youngest son. My oldest son, there's children. He has children I've never even met, because of
No way.
what my ex-wife has done and what she has told them. And
Yep.
yeah, it's really hard. And, I see other people on other social pages and stuff, and there are other fathers out there, and they're just like, man, I'm at the end of my rope. And I'm just like, you're not alone, So,
And the shitty thing is, what did you even do besides you and your ex broke up? You know what I mean? Like it's not like you were sitting there beating your kids and she has actual shit to talk.
no, 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 no. Well, in 2009, I figured it out. In 2009, with the mortgage crisis, where everything crashed and
Yep.
everybody was getting bailed out, those companies, that was the premise in that. And I started a motorcycle shop, and she said she didn't support that. You never supported anything I did. That was her premise. She had showed up one day and says, "Oh, the house is up for sale. We're going to this address, and you're not coming." And I was like,
Wow.
"Okay." And then her answer was simply, "Oh, that's not the reaction that I expected." And I said, "But based on the reaction you were expecting is how you come up with all your decisions." So I've gone to the courthouse. I've got a stack of papers like this big. I've got all my documents and trying to put them all together, because at one point, there were things that they said I didn't pay my child support, but I've got the dockets from when I
Mm.
was in court. I've got a spreadsheet sent from her email address attached with showing those payments and stuff. I got a little leeway, but I just got to find that legal representation. one to get myself, you know, oh, I can't get a fishing license. I want to go fishing so bad.
Oh wow.
I'm not allowed to have a fishing license.
It's crazy how far some of these women will take this. You know what I mean? They
Right.
will literally ruin your life. And what gain do
Yeah.
they get from that?
Um, you know, they get satisfaction, I guess. It was, I don't know. I can't answer that really. I really can't. Um, I could get mean and say a lot of ugly things and stuff like that, but that's not who I am. That's not, and that doesn't gain anything. It doesn't take that time that's gone. I mean, I've lost years that will never come back.
100%. And your son as well.
Sons, two. I got two. So I took full custody of one, had had a son with, which woman that was my wife, and then now I have neither one. And, going from being, feeling like a superhero to being a super villain is just, it's hard. And I'll say, I've talked to counselors and stuff like that. And at one point, this counselor, he told me, and it finally made sense, because he had mentioned, he goes, you're mourning the loss of your children, like as if they're gone. And I was like, wow, that is so
Yeah.
right. And now, having said that, what this has done to my mental and my health, it has caused me anxiety to panic attacks to just, straight up depression.
I don't think there's anything worse than that. I don't think there's anything worse than your kids
No,
leaving your life. Either some parents lose their children
right.
with a death, and then some parents the kids don't ever want to talk to them again, and that's probably the worst thing that could happen to somebody in this world.
Yeah, ha, yeah, but regardless, working hard. I'm working really hard. I'm making progress. And one of the things, going back to Mark Ludwig, what he had said to me, he goes, you need to realize that everything that you're doing right now has nothing to do with your case. And I'm like, okay. It was kind of harsh and abrupt when he said that, but at the same time, it made sense to me because you know what? I agree with them, and I want to really actually meet these gentlemen and stuff like that. I want them to dive into my case, whether I wind up with a good result or a bad result in the end. I just want someone to look at this and help other fathers not have to go
Yep.
through this.
Well, how old is your youngest?
He just turned 22 on the 29th of January.
22. Okay, so you're done paying child support for both kids, but they're not in your lives at all.
Oh no, I still got that 35,000 over my
Oh,
head
you still have to pay that down. Oh my god.
from 2016. And what it was, okay, I can add to the story.
Hey guys, real quick, if you can jump over to patreon.com/daddy issues of the truth, help support what we're doing, help support the channel, just so we can get as many dads as we can on the podcast and share their stories, and hopefully it's helping you guys out. That would be huge, man. And I definitely need your support, could use your support, and I hope that what we're doing is helpful to you. So, um, if you guys could help out, patreon.com/daddy issues the truth, and greatly appreciated, man. Thank you guys. All right, back to the episode.
She had gone to the courthouse because I hadn't paid for the daycare, which was an additional $18 more onto when I was handing her, when I was paying her child support. So when again, my son didn't go to daycare. She didn't ask for it. We were on good terms. We were agreeing on everything. And when, hey, I'm going to have your son or our son, a little bit longer on this weekend or this week, and I was fine. Everything was good. That's when she got greedy. She went to the courthouse to say he never paid for the daycare. And I was like, that would be a couple thousand. I was like, and she would be right. But then the courthouse said to her, says, well, we don't have a record of him showing paid child support through our system. The day of our divorce, the judge is looking at the two of us. We're getting ready to finish and be divorced. We will set up the child support taken out of his paychecks. Her words, no, Your Honor, we will handle it ourselves. 6 years later, she lies. And now here's the bad part about it, or what is the unknown part of it to the court house or the court system is my youngest son, him and I had always talked about when he was of age and he's comfortable. And I was hoping, through his high school years that he would come and live with me, because I wanted to be there for him during the high school stages of his life. That was always the goal. So how would I ever be able to walk into a courtroom and say, hey, Your Honor, I haven't paid child support for 6 years, but I want him to live with me now because I feel he's of age? That would
Right.
have never worked, that plan. So I paid the child support. I did something foolish. I didn't keep accurate records.
Yeah.
That was my fault, but and it came down to trust. I foolishly trusted, and I had no reason to trust. It's just that's who I am in life. But
Yeah, we actually talk about that a bunch on the podcast about like trusting these women that you're with. You're spending your life with them. You would never think that they would actually go down that road and really throw you under the bus, but they will. And who knows why, but like they will for a little bit of gain, and it just doesn't make sense.
yeah, I can I can recall being in court one day, trying to understand what's being said to me, because again, you go into court, you don't know what's going on and what is going to be said, and I started asking questions in the courtroom, and I've got this bailiff. All of a sudden, he's leaning into me. He's like he's got his chest is bumped like leaning into the back of my shoulders, like shut up, you're not supposed to be asking questions. Like
Oh wow.
I'm like, are you kidding me? But
Yeah.
again, man, going back to the health issue, um, back when I first started with my youngest son, I hadn't seen him for a month. I'm on my way to court. I'm on the highway, and a thought hits me. What if the judge sides against me and I never get to see my son again? And I'm hyperventilating. I'm going down the road. I wound up pulling into a fire station by chance. Got 9 paramedics dive into my tiny truck, and I'm asking them, am I having a stroke? And
Wow.
I'm in the ambulance. I was on my way to court, and I had a panic attack, but I didn't know I had a panic attack. I'm asking, am I having a stroke? So now I'm in an ambulance. I'm in the emergency room. I explained to the ER tech, the doctor, or not even the doctor. I don't even know. He goes, well, let's do this, and he got me to hyperventilate, and it put me into another panic attack. And he's like, you had a panic attack. You want to talk about being scared for your life? I'll tell you what, that's scary. And
Yeah.
since then, it's just I've now worked with my doctor and stuff over these years to find balance for me, and it works. But you know, I'm still not able to get the help that I need legally because no one will no one will challenge the system. Therefore, that's why I'm reaching out to the state rep, and I'm reaching out to this guy Mark Ludwig of St. Louis. Both are on Facebook. That's where I found them. I'm in communication with them.
I mean, that's what's great because that's what's going to change the actual system is when contact these people that can make the change. It sucks because I could sit there and complain about my situation all day long and be frustrated about it. But at the end of the day, if the judge rules against me or does whatever, it's like, okay, now I got to pay my attorney $5,000 more to do whatever and go back to court for the same outcome. You know what I mean? You're just dumping money in and there's nothing you can do. And it is, I mean, I haven't been as long as you've been in your situation, but it is fucking frustrating. And my oldest daughter now is she, my kids were alienated against me. I was the best dad in the world when I was with them, with my ex. And then as soon as we were not together anymore, I was a terrible dad. And That's one thing that I'm very scared of is my daughter getting older because right now, like she doesn't hug me, she doesn't, doesn't kiss me, doesn't anything, and I get nervous when she's older if she's going to keep going down that road because it's straight up alienation from what their mom has told them.
Um, again, for your own self, then, for your own self awareness and stuff like that, look up, what happened in '98. Look at Mark Ludwig at what he's doing, because again, it's equality rights. It's not so much again. All right, I agree with his change of verbiage, because again, it's like, fighting for fathers' rights, and then, you'll get the moms, there's good mothers. Don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
There are mothers out there that aren't doing that, being that vindictive and alienating the children. So what Mark Ludwig is working on is equality of rights, so
Yep.
that in the court system, it is 50-50, you know, um, not one side saying my child. It's our child, and that should be the focus. Is it's our child that is coming out every day. I'm never going to get out from underneath that -35. And basically, what I got to do is this stack of papers that I've, acquired. It was 96 attachments. It's all my court documents. I'm going through it. I'm going to be my own advocate. And I still have to hire an attorney. You believe this, right? I will still have to hire an attorney to hand those paperwork over to the judge. I
Yeah.
still have to
Wow.
get into the corruptness
Yeah.
to get the just to pass that paperwork on, because I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed to have that have my voice.
If you could go back to like the beginning of this whole process, what's the one thing that you would change or do differently if you could go back?
Back to, well, I mean, again,
I guess it's two separate issues, like two separate times with your sons, but
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah. Oh man, I guess I wish I could know what both sides of that fence were back in the '90s, so that I would have been able to say, hey, I need to speak out, or I need to reach out to the proper people, that are creating the laws and stuff. Again, I didn't know any of that. I didn't, I never focused on it. So I wish I could go back to that time, but I can't. I mean, again, all that time is lost. All in all, with everything that, I go through and stuff like that, I still, well, what I've learned to do for myself, all these other guys, everybody else, even those, I wake up every day and I create my own sunshine
mhm.
because I have to. Nobody else will. And then I send out love and light to the world. That's just who I am. That's why everyone calls me hippie, because, I just, I have a positive vibe about me, and I generate that out and I put that out all the time. I find the positive. I have to. Um, my oldest son that I took the full custody of, and he joined the military after I focused on his education and made sure he graduated high school. He joined the military, and his mom says, you know, the state never gave me any of that money that your dad paid back. I can help you get it. And then he became best friends with his mom again.
Man, it's so frustrating, and it's like it only punishes the kids. I mean, obviously you're being punished, but
Well,
it's like
I'm being punished. There's a
right.
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off,
No,
but
no, you're good.
yeah, so basically, when he came back from his boot camp training, he told me, "Fuck you, Dad. I had a shitty childhood." And I'm
Oh
like,
God.
dude, I took full custody of you when you were 8 years old and focused on your schooling, got you to graduation day. You had to tough out the last 2 months because of your own actions.
Hmm.
Because I don't want to say what he was doing, but again, it was important that he graduated because he had signed up for the military, and they split up the boot camp between junior year and senior year, the summertime.
Yeah.
And then you graduate, and then you finish up your boot camp and you're in. And he was about to mess that up. I was like, you can't do that. Don't do that. So, based on his own actions, it was rough and stuff like that. And to tell you the truth, he wasn't living in the house because of his actions.
But again, to me, that's good parenting. To me, that you're showing him reality of what life is gonna. If you keep fucking up, like you're not gonna be able to get to where you want to get to. And like, okay, you might need to. Like my parents kicked me out of the house when I was like 15 years old for a little bit, and it shows me like, oh damn, life's hard. My parents always aren't gonna just bail me out of life, and everything's good. It's like you got to figure it out.
If I got to throw politics in there, there's somebody else on one side of the fence that actually in the early 90s, I want to say 94, had put together a bill to actually go after African American fathers and basically taking them out and turning them into criminals so that
Yep.
they can generate revenue. And how can they get the rest of society messed up and take the rest of the fathers out? Well, in 98, Bill Clinton signed the document saying this is the Deadbeat Dad program.
And even with welfare too, it's you're incentivizing the woman to no longer have the man in the house to get paid by the state. I mean, we saw it even
Yeah.
now with COVID. People didn't want to go back to work because they were getting eight
No.
hundred dollars a week from the state. So it's like, why would I work, make less than that a week, but I'm getting paid? I could be getting paid from the state. It's when you incentivize things. No one wants to do anything. No one wants to work. You're getting free money. You know what I mean? I own a restaurant and it's so hard to get employees right now. No one wants to work, and it's just like the work ethic has just gone down the drain.
You are absolutely right. But I have, still, I mean, yeah, you're right for the majority of the youth, in my opinion. My youngest son, he wasn't that. He wasn't going to be that. My older son, it was the time of the Fast and the Furious movies were all hot. It was just they were
Yeah.
all coming out. His incentive was his buddy went and joined the military, got a bunch of money, he got a Fast and Furious car, and that was my older son's incentive to join. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
He got the car, but then he blew it up a week after he got it. I'm like,
Right.
oh man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. Different generation and stuff. That hard work ethic is gone. But my youngest son, I never raised him to be materialistic and stuff. I always raised him to leave the block, to see the world, to be the change in the world. It's funny. One time when he was younger, I had told him, I kind of like blew his mind. I was like, I said, you can be anything you want. You can be this, you can be that. I said, you can even be the president of the United States. And Abraham Lincoln, he was a fan of Abraham Lincoln. He goes, I can be the president like Abraham Lincoln, and I was like, yeah. And it just like kind of like blew his little mind, and that he could be in the same shoes as that, and he was always smart like that. And then fast forward 5 years and all the politics that are going on during the time and all everybody that's in office stuff, and I'm like, I had asked him again later on. I was like, "Do you still want to be president?" He says, "No, I want to be Canadian." I was like, "Oh, excuse me," but yeah, that was funny because I was just like, "Yeah, I kind of don't blame you there, man." I mean, it's crazy. So again, I can hope that my message for the dads out there is you got to be your own advocate. You're going to have to step up. You're going to have to do your own homework. You're not alone. And you know what? Definitely, you're not alone. So if you are feeling alone, you call someone and you tell them, get it out of your head, get it out, talk about it. Don't keep it in because it will eat you from the inside out. It'll destroy you.
That's great advice. I mean, we talk about that a bunch too, and it's like you need that support system. I joined a bunch of Facebook groups, and because you think you can talk to your friends, but a lot of your friends aren't going through what you're going through, so they don't understand. So it's like, especially if you find somebody who's been through this or going through this that can give you advice, and you can go back and forth and talk. It's great. This was amazing, and I'm sorry you're going through it, and I hope you always hear one day I hope my kids will realize what has happened and they'll come back. It sucks that your kids have kids now and they still haven't figured it out, but hopefully they come around and figure it out.
I agree with you, and I'm told all the time, and this is a hard one to swallow. I'm told all the time that they will come around. I always try to fight that negative, but the fight that I have with that, it's just like, man, it's like telling me to hold my breath for 10 hours and I'll be okay. I know I won't be okay. This is about, again, dads being the advocates, fight, you got to fight because the guys that are doing it right now, guys that are the legal people out there aren't doing it. You just got to hire them. Unfortunately, there's no pro bono people. There's none of that out there. I've checked. Yeah, just keep up the good fight. And it's a little hard today because I knew I was coming on this program, but yeah, I still, got to create that sunshine. Create it for
Yeah.
yourself. Create that sunshine and go with that all day. Thank you for having me on. I'd love to, be on again. If I can ever be on and on a larger group and stuff, I'm here. I'm available. On a different note, if I may, I've set up a motorcycle ride for a charity event for, little people that, get sick. I don't want to throw out their name because I don't want to get in trouble with, the people. My proceeds are going to go to, cancer research. Yeah, putting on a bike ride, motorcycle ride, music event, and camping, you know. And that's just what I'm doing. That's the first thing I'm doing because my next thing that I'm doing is helping support Mark Ludwig because you guys can get a hold of Mark Ludwig on Facebook and he's taking his time and he is driving from state to state to change the legislation, to change the laws. Um, when I had gotten a hold of Jed Davis's group, I missed it by 3 days by submitting, change to a legislation myself. And I says, "Oh, I can do that? I don't know that." Okay,
Right.
so 2026. So 2026, I can try to get something passed. So let's build on that now. So if there's a way that you can communicate and have people that are contacting you and say, "Who is that hippie? How do we get in touch with them?" I mean,
Yeah.
I'm here. You got my contact info. So let's spread the word. Guys, stand up, man. Rise up. Be strong. That's all I got.